So about a month ago, Fire Emblem Shadows was randomly announced and released to the public. This was a strange release. It's very clearly a rushed or unfinished product, and it doesn't seem like it was originally a Fire Emblem game at all. Although you can, and I did, have fun with the game for a little bit, the general sentiment is it's not that great. But I believe if they put enough effort into the game, eventually it can become something pretty decent. And I'd like to share how I'd personally propose to do that, keeping in mind that I haven't got a single clue about game development, and these are just ideas that I think would be pretty cool. First off, let's start off with the positives. The game does actually do some things right. There is no stamina system like Fire Emblem Heroes and most other mobile games, meaning you can play as long as you want, whenever you want. Equipment, such as weapons, can be used on multiple characters at the same time, increasing their usefulness as well as helping save on resources. Also, you can pretty much get everything in the game for free besides cosmetics. There is a paid battle pass, but it has been confirmed that you can get Lyn souls after the pass ends through random treasure chest rewards as well as the bazaar. So even if you don't spend money, you can still unlock Lyn eventually. Although I do have to say, at the time of recording, they did announce the next battle pass being Corrin, and it is currently unknown if, like Lyn, we'll be able to get Corrin souls later on, but I'm assuming that you will be able to. After this point though, that's basically where all the good stuff ends, so let's get on to the main focus of the game, that being the battles. The battles are sort of 50-50 for me, at least when it comes to the controls. Initially, I was pretty upset that we can't control where your character is moving, but the more I played, the more I realised that your skills are more the strategy rather than your movement. Although I'd still like to be able to move my own characters, so the best way to fix this is to have the best of both worlds. Currently, your turn takes approximately 5 seconds, and then after a second pause, your character attacks, making 7 seconds in total. Instead of this, I would like for the first 3.5 seconds your character does not move. During this time, you should be able to touch the ground or an enemy in order to move to that space or attack that enemy. If after the 3.5 seconds you did not choose a place to go, you would move automatically, just as it works currently. This movement phase will take place in 1.5 seconds rather than 5, so the characters will have to walk a slight bit faster. And if 1.5 seconds is too short to move your character, then it can be increased to 2.5 seconds. I don't think many people will complain if the average turn is increased by 1 second. After that will be the same 1 second stop and then 1 second attack. However, during the 1 second stop, if there is no enemy in front of your character will turn to the closest enemy and attack them instead. This is because, quite often, enemies will get moved or killed by other allies or skills, and your attack will just miss, wasting the turn. So if there's another enemy nearby, they should be able to turn and attack them instead. Of course, however, this will also apply to enemies too, and they'll be able to do the same thing. Another big problem with the battles is it's just the same battle over and over again. There needs to be some sort of variety. In my opinion, there should be at least 5 different battle modes, with you being able to change between whichever one you want, or being able to click random and getting a random one. We can keep the regular one as it is, but here's another 4 that I came up with. The first will be a raid boss battle kind of event. This will have 4 players instead of the regular 3, and in my opinion, all game modes should have 4 instead of 3 as well. This will diversify character and team building, and will keep it in line with Fire Emblem Heroes, which also has 4 characters per team. Another benefit of having 4 characters per battle is that when selecting an imposter, it's not a simple 50-50 coin toss if you get them, because I know some players just select whoever and hope for the best. For the raid battle, in the first room we'll fight against an NPC shadow enemy with increased stats. There'll also be an imposter that'll be able to help the NPC character out. There shouldn't be generic enemies regularly in this mode, but the imposter will be able to summon them. After the battle ends, you'll choose the imposter like normal, and then in the second room, you'll go against both the NPC and the imposter shadow enemy. These will have regular stats rather than increased ones, and like before, generic enemies won't spawn naturally. The next type of battle will be an endurance type battle, where you try to survive as long as possible, with new enemies spawning in every other turn. After you've selected the imposter, the light team's stats will increase based on the amount of turns you have survived. However, the amount of enemies that will spawn in the second room will increase based on this amount as well. The third battle type will see how quickly you can defeat enemies. In this battle, characters will be able to move 1 square further than usual, but every third turn the shadow team gets a slight buff. In the second room, this buff happens every second turn, but the light team will also get buffed depending on how fast they cleared the first room. Finally, because you need at least one silly mode, the final mode will not allow damage type skills to be used, whether that be direct damage, poison, etc. Here you'll only be able to use heals, movement skills, buffs and things like that, and you can only attack using your weapon. Of course, these are just random ones I came up with, I'm sure other people can come up with better ones. But the main point stands, you can't be playing the same game mode over and over and over again and expect it to be fun. Another problem I have with battles is that when selecting an imposter, sometimes it just straight up tells you who it is through the hints. These hints should just be completely removed, it's not really a social deduction game otherwise. Onto the skills used in the game, it seems weird to me that a lot of the skills deal direct damage rather than attack percent. This means besides one or two skills, your attack stat is only useful for weapon damage, and as stated before, you end up missing quite often anyway. Although I agree not every skill should be attack percent, there should be a decent balance of the two. For example, we can have the L skills, L Fire, L Wind and Thunder be direct damage, and then we can have a different class of skill based on attack percent. Like the blade weapons from Fire Emblem Heroes for example, Rotor Blade, Gron Blade and Bar Blade. Currently I believe in the meta of this game you just stack as much HP as possible and then just not die. There should be a way to make both stats important without breaking the balance of the game, although that would take a lot of tinkering. More generally about skills though, they need to be rebalanced, some of them are just much more useful than others. Also don't like it that the pull spells only move in one direction, it seems a little weird. Another thing I'd like to see change with skills is the fact that you can equip a skill that's much higher than the level of your character. In this way you can essentially just one-shot everything if you have a skill of a high enough level. Instead you should not be able to equip the skill if it has a higher level than your character, or at least reduce the level of the skill to the level of the character when equipping it. Onto the Bazaar, I honestly don't know what they were thinking when they made this part. There is no way to guarantee that what you list end up selling, meaning it's much easier to just scrap it. However, you are extremely limited with the amount you are able to scrap, only 500 a day. This should be increased to at least 1,500 if not 2,000. They should also add the scrap option on the main screen of the Bazaar. Right now the option is put out of the way on purpose and it's kind of annoying. One of my biggest gripes with this game when it first came out is that nothing is really explained that well. I don't even remember it saying anything about a sun or moon room until I checked in the news tab. So yeah, just rework all the tutorials of this game, it's utterly useless. Another thing I want explained is the rewards you get from battling. Sometimes there's like 5 or 6 different categories all in one go, and I'm like, I don't even know what any of these things are and why I'm getting them. Another thing that is not explained is what actually gets you a reward in a battle, as in what actually gets you the better chests. I know on the ends battle screen it does say things like you didn't die and stuff like that, but I want a more concrete explanation. Reward drops are not really explained either. I want the exact percentage of me getting a soul or a weapon and stuff like that. It feels a little bit different now, but when the game first came out I only got a soul every 2 or 3 days, and weapons were pretty rare as well. Also for battles they need to add coins as a reward. There really isn't that many ways to get coins in the game, so even if it's between 1 and 15 per battle, depending on how well you did, that will give players at least some sort of sense of progression. Also, just for the fun of it, I think they should add potions that boost the amount of certain drops that you get. For example, they should add a potion that gives you an increased chance to give you souls, weapons, or increased coins for about 30 minutes. And these potions can be purchased for gems, i.e. real life currency, or crystals, which you can get in-game. However, they will have to cost a lot of crystals. The final big thing I'd like to add is just give us full voice acting for the story. The first few chapters were good because I had full voice acting, but after that it's just sort of exclamations and short phrases, which get really annoying quickly. Also, if we're getting full voice acting, then the story should have a autoplay mode, just so you don't have to tap the screen every time you want to go to the next sentence. Onto some more smaller things, they should add a sound test. There is some decent music in this game and we want to be able to hear it without all the battle going on. We should also be able to full screen the artwork of the characters. The designs are basically the best thing about this game, but you can't really see them very well even though they're highly detailed because of the way the screen works. So we should be able to full screen the artwork to be able to look at it. Granted, they have been uploading the artworks to Twitter as well, but it'll be nice to do it in game. If you're giving everyone outfits, even if it's just a onesie, then the least you can do is make an artwork for each outfit as well. And yes, I'm saying this because I want to see a highly detailed artwork of everyone in a onesie. But in all seriousness, this would make the outfits more unique and special, even if you have to make 2 artworks for every single skin. They should add a challenges shortcut on the home screen, just so it's easier to get to it. Although I do have to say in the latest update they did add the daily challenges to the home screen, so that's at least something. Daily challenges should also grant you coins for doing them, maybe like 25 for the first 2 and 50 for the last one. Finally, similar to Fire Emblem Heroes, they should add the artists and voice actors for these characters. I just think it's the right thing to do. Also, where is the bunny girl character that was seen in the trailer? She has just not appeared yet. Just as a side tangent, there are currently 16 characters in the game, including Corrin, spread across 8 weapon types, 2 red, 3 green, and 3 blue. To balance this out, a 3rd red weapon type should be added in the future. This will probably be like red daggers or something like that. And again, in a roster of 16 units, there are currently only 4 red ones, 3 of them being swords. This will obviously change over time, but it's something to be aware of. Currently, it seems like we're getting about 2 units per month, 1 from the story and 1 from the battle pass. So again, it'll take a few months, but it'll eventually balance out. I do like it that the battle pass is seemingly for pre-existing characters updated in this newer style, even if it's just an excuse to add them into Fire Emblem Heroes. In my opinion, the battle pass should swap between older and newer characters every month, which it has kind of done already, with Lyn being older and Corrin being newer, with any character from Fire Emblem Awakening onwards being considered a new character, as I believe that was a big turning point in the series. Fire Emblem Shadows is yes a weird game, but I do see the potential that it has. The art is great, even if it's furry coded, and as a more casual experience it can be pretty fun for a little bit. It's also really good that, so far, it doesn't have any FOMO or other underhanded tactics that mobile games usually use. On the real money side of things, the onesies are cute, but I don't think anyone's really buying them. I do believe this game can be good if they put enough effort into it, but the problem is getting these companies to actually put the effort into it. They did release new story very quickly, so they might have realized that this game doesn't have a long lifespan. Anyway, those are my thoughts on how Fire Emblem Shadows can improve. In all honesty, I only played the game for about a week and a half and then completely forgot about it. It does get repetitive very quickly. But what do you think? Does Fire Emblem Shadows have a future, or will it end of service in less than a year? Let me know in the comments below. But that's it for me for now, and until next time, see ya.